Hello, everyone. This is Independent Conservative. I am Ryan Bolin. Thank you all for joining once again. I want to go back over this. I didn't talk about it ad nauseum just about, but I noticed something that stood out during the debate between Trump and Biden, and how, of course, all the hoopla and bull crap is being spewed at Trump for being racist by saying black jobs. Okay, that these illegals are taking these black jobs. Okay, but what I want to talk about in this video is something that I think a lot of people bypassed, and that is Trump didn't just say black jobs; he said Hispanic jobs as well. Now you may be asking, well, okay, Mr. Bolin, what do you mean by that? What are you trying to say? What I'm trying to say, as the title of this video says, why aren't Hispanics angry and only blacks are angry? In other words, Trump said black jobs and Hispanic jobs, that these illegals are taking jobs from black people and Hispanic people. And he said black jobs and Hispanic jobs. That's what he said. Okay. But guess what? The only people that are making TikTok videos, getting on Facebook Live, Instagram Live, or whatever live that they're getting on, hooping and hollering, fussing and complaining, is black people. Why aren't Hispanics making TikTok videos? Why aren't Hispanics getting on mainstream TV and having interviews with popular TV hosts and so forth, complaining about how racist Trump is? Why aren't they doing it? Now, there may be some Hispanics doing this. I don't know, but I haven't seen it. But shouldn't we see that as well? Shouldn't Hispanics be complaining and saying, man, Trump, you racist. You said Hispanic jobs just like you said black jobs. Wow, what are you trying to say, Trump? Are you trying to say that we Hispanics, that's all we're good for is these kind of low-skilled jobs? So why are blacks pooting and crying and being upset? Everybody that's watching this video, I'm not saying anyone here on this video, but you know I'm telling the truth. You know, why are blacks the only ones crying about this? Why are blacks the only ones crying that Trump is being racist by using the term black jobs? How come Hispanics are not crying and saying, Trump, you use the term Hispanic jobs? Trump included Hispanic jobs in the same sentence as the black jobs. So how come they're not doing TikTok videos about this? How come they're not doing YouTube videos about this? How come they're not crying and getting all upset? And what happened? Where are the Hispanics at? And I'm going to give you what I believe the reason is because blacks in America as a whole are the only ones in this country, for the most part, that have been inundated and indoctrinated by the Democratic Party and the mainstream leftist media to believe that Republicans and conservatives are racist and nothing but a bunch of hateful Nazis. We're the only people that are being inundated with this garbage, that are being manipulated psychologically. Now, the question leads to why? Because, once again, blacks at a 90% rate vote for Democrats. The Democrats depend on the black vote more than they depend on an Hispanic vote and any other vote. Even though a significant number of Hispanics vote Democrat, the Democratic Party doesn't count on their vote as much as they count on the vote of blacks. Because we vote for them well, I don't, but blacks vote for them at a 90% rate. So if it goes anything below that, that's a problem. So the Democratic Party and the mainstream liberal media, which a vast majority of the reporters and journalists are Democrats, that's not my opinion. That has actually been researched several decades ago by several research committees that found out that a significant number of reporters and journalists are Democrat, and only a small percentage of them are Republicans and conservatives, okay? Because the mainstream media is controlled by the left, they pump blacks full of this idea that Trump and Republicans and conservatives are nothing more than racist Nazis, They don't focus all their attention on Hispanics and Asians and others who I'm pretty sure a decent number of these individual ethnic groups vote Democrat, but they're not the mainstay. They're not the main support. It's black people. And my point is that if that's the case, which I honestly believe it is, when are blacks going to wake up and see that they're being manipulated psychologically? They're being manipulated by the mainstream media, which is controlled by the left, which is a Democratic stronghold, and they're being manipulated by Democratic politicians. The Democratic politicians are snakes. They were the original party of slavery. Got to go back over that. They were the original creators of the Jim Crow laws, and they were the founders and creators of the KKK. But all of this nonsense has been successfully attributed to the Republican Party. Are the Republicans perfect? No, they are not. Are conservatives perfect? No, they are not. But let's deal with reality here. Let's deal with history here, okay? That's history. And I believe, and have always believed since I began to read up on this, is that the current Democratic Party is still racist. They're still racist. They're just racist in a different way. They have not changed. Biden has not changed. I'm pretty sure you guys have seen. Well, that's going to be a different video. I'm gonna deal with that on different. That's a different one. I'm not going to spend the time on that one right now. That's a different video. We don't do that. I've believed that Biden is racist. I'm not going to go into the details of that because that's another video. Like I said, Biden is racist. Hillary Clinton is racist, and most of all those Democrats are racist. They come from the actual racist party from day one. And they have been manipulating blacks for decades. Prior to Franklin D. Roosevelt's New Deal outreach program, if you want to call it that, that was a response to, what was it, the Great Depression. In the 1920s and the 1930s, he created a program known as the New Deal. The New Deal was basically created to help people who had been almost like eradicated, so to speak, by the Great Depression. Blacks wanted a part of that. Now, remember, Franklin D. Roosevelt was a progressive Democrat. Okay. A lot of these programs came underneath his administration. Social Security Act and all of that came under his administration. But that's another video all of itself, and I'm not going to get to that. But he initiated the New Deal. And the New Deal was supposed to help people who had dealt with the horrors of the Great Depression. Blacks wanted a part of that because obviously the Great Depression affected blacks even more. Okay, because most blacks were poor. But at the time, most blacks, get this now, this is recorded history, voted Republican, not Democrat. Because blacks in those days knew that the original party of slavery, Jim Crow laws, and the KKK was Democrats. So they knew, so they had a brain. They knew we're not going to vote for these idiots, because they're the ones that's causing us all this hell. But when you're impoverished and you're hungry, you're going to accept whatever somebody give you. Okay? And this is what was going on during that time, during the late 1920s and 1930s, early 1930s, when Franklin D. Roosevelt created the New Deal. Okay, the new, if you want to call it, stimulus program, if you will. A lot of blacks wanted to get a hold. They wanted some of the crumbs. Okay. But from what I remember, is that Southern Democrats, which were racist, didn't want blacks to have a part of that. They didn't want blacks to have anything to do with this New Deal. They wanted all the benefits. They wanted all the goodies. So Franklin D. Roosevelt cut a deal to pacify these Southern Democrats, Deep South Southern Democrats. He kept blacks from a lot of the different benefits and programs that the New Deal would have done to help black people. But during this time, blacks started to, a little bit at a time, mitigate or transfer over to the Democratic Party. Because even though Franklin D. Roosevelt kept them from getting all the full benefits due to the racist Deep Southern Democrats, okay, They still was getting some goodies. They still was getting some of these handouts because they were hungry. They were homeless. They were hungry. They were crying out for help. That was enough for a lot of blacks. And as the years went by, blacks started to a little bit at a time transfer over to the Democratic Party. Now, some may say, well, okay, this is where the argument comes in on the part of the Republican Party. I think the Republicans should have did a little bit more for blacks during this time, since most blacks voted Republican at this time, you know. But I think they should have probably did a little bit more because the Democrats took advantage of that. But it wasn't, so let me start speeding this up a little bit. It wasn't until the 1960s, okay, or mid to late 1960s, when Lyndon B. Johnson, a Democrat, a progressive Democrat, created what was known as the Great Society. And the Great Society was another outreach program that was supposed to address poverty in the community, the black community in general. When that happened, hundreds of millions of dollars was spent giving subsidized housing, food stamps, all of that. What Lyndon B. Johnson did was he multiplied what Franklin D. Roosevelt did. I mean, he multiplied it many times over. He said, I'm going to do what Franklin D. Roosevelt didn't do, and I'm going to give subsidized housing, food stamps, all this kind of stuff to people who are fighting, who are in poverty, which at the time, most of them were, a significant enough of them rather, were black. Weren't just black, they were white too. But it really was hurting black people. And black people saw that as the Democrats being helpful. They really was helping them. They saw that as, man, this is really helping us. But according to one source, I believe it was one of the butlers of Lyndon B. Johnson, overheard, and I read about this in one of, what's his name, Dussela, who's an Indian guy, but, you know, if you read it, I got quite a few of his books. This man is very knowledgeable. He's a conservative Indian commentator and filmmaker. Stated that this butler overheard Lyndon B. Johnson talking about this Great Society program, or rather talking about how to get blacks over onto the Democratic Party side, because at the time he was running, the Democratic Party was at a standstill. They were struggling like they're struggling now. Okay. And he needed to do something to get blacks on the side of the Democrats, because even though they started to matriculate over to the Democratic Party side, it still wasn't a significant number of them to do so that would have made a difference. So when he came up with the Great Society deal, he stated, this butler said he overheard Lyndon B. Johnson talking to, I think, one of his aides, and saying, I will have those NIGGERs voting Democrats for 200 years. I guarantee you that was true. I don't believe it once that was made up. And when he initiated the Great Society, that outreach program, right, that welfare state program, blacks matriculated over to the Democratic Party en masse. The Democratic Party never changed who they were as a bunch of hardcore racists. They just changed their tactics. They're still racist today, as they always were. That's why they talk so condescendingly about black people. To Democrats, blacks are always victims of oppression, victims of poverty, victims of this, victims of that, because as long as they can see you as victims, you are beneath them. A victim is considered to be someone inferior because you don't have no power over your own life. You try telling that to black people, they still don't see it. They still don't see they're being manipulated by the Democratic Party. They're being manipulated, lied to, bamboozled, ran amok, run astray. That's what happened, bro. Now you may be saying, what's your point, Mr. Bull? Now I hope you get my point. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. We've been programmed. We've been manipulated by the Democratic Party and the mainstream leftist media to side with the Democratic Party no matter what. So here, going back to Trump, who mentioned both black jobs and Hispanic jobs, everybody focused on the fact that he said black jobs. Nobody's focused on the fact that he said Hispanic jobs as well. But Hispanic people aren't getting upset. They're not pooting and farting and snotting. Why? Because they're not brainwashed like blacks are. Why aren't they getting upset? See, it seems like to me a lot of Hispanics are smarter than a lot of us black people, man. I just hate to say it. When are we going to come out of our matrix and stop voting for these do nothing, low down Democrats in office? When are we going to stop doing that? I'm going to keep attacking the Democratic Party until the day I die because they're still racist and they still are good at manipulation and twisting our minds to make them think that they really care about us. The Democratic Party don't give a flamboozle about any black person. We are beneath them. We are nothing to them. We were nothing to them in the plantations and in the rural South, and we're nothing to them now in the inner cities. We're nothing but a vote. They tell us what we want to hear, and that's it. Why fight for us? They fighting now. The Democratic Party is fighting for us now because it seems like a lot of black people are waking up. But in the past, why fight? Why fight for the black vote? All we need to do is say you're a victim. All we need to do is say the Republicans are racist and Trump is racist and he's a Nazi, and you'll listen to us. That's all we need to say. Oh, okay, yeah, you're right. With no evidence whatsoever. I'm just saying. But yeah, that's what I had to say. But what's up with that? How come the Hispanics are not getting upset? And if they are, where the videos at? Where are they? Where the Instagram videos? Where the TikTok videos? Where the interviews on The View? Where is it at? I don't know. I haven't seen it. Please let me know in the comment section. If that's the case, I'll tell you why. Because they're not brainwashed. They haven't been manipulated like us because we vote at a 90% rate for the Democrats. They got to keep us on their plantation. I'm just saying. What do you guys think? Leave your comments in the comment section below. Like, share, subscribe to my channel. God bless you all. See you again.